And we met the two consul generals, one honorary and one official. And the room was just full of New Zealanders who live in this area. And it's a real great connection for them to have that. And so they're sister cities with, I guess Christchurch is sister cities with Seattle.
Okay.
And so that was a really big deal moment for all
Sounds
of
like a
us.
lot of fun part. It sounds like a fun part of your job.
That's fun. Absolutely.
Um, so um, for the formal government, right? So do you find yourself like doing more influencing over the city council, like trying to influence them to do what you want to do, or is this more like
No,
the city council like is all one big group, you're all on the same page, you just go from there?
no, neither.
Okay.
I mean, I have my definite opinions on things, but I'm only allowed to speak with two others. Otherwise, it's a considered a meeting, a
Okay.
running meeting. So I get to speak with two other council members about issues outside of our meetings. But no, I never try to influence the vote.
Okay.
But I do try to make sure that everybody has all the education on the issue that they need to make a good decision. We have a very diverse council. Even people I consider my friends don't always vote with me. And so I never know what the outcome's going to be.
Okay.
And I can tell in the conversation by the questions being asked where it's heading sometimes, but I do not try to influence the vote.
And you took over as mayor in 2020,
Yeah,
right in the middle of COVID. How
right
was that?
before
Right before
COVID.
COVID? How was that?
Tough.
Tough, I can imagine.
Yeah, very tough. I mean, fortunately, I come from a healthcare background, and I think that that was great guidance for me during that time. I knew that we had to react immediately. There were a lot of cities who went into a holding pattern. And I just kind of treated it. It was very similar to me as the AIDS crisis when that first came out because nobody knew how it was transmitted. Nobody knew what the future was going to be. They just knew it was very deadly. And so everybody went into, big protocol for making sure they didn't catch it. And I was working in the hospital at that time. So I went through all that. But you don't just stop doing things. You adapt. And there were so many emerging needs when the schools closed down. People were didn't no longer had childcare. And for the families that relied on free and reduced lunch and breakfast, that was gone. And then the people who were in the healthcare industry, they were having to work double shifts. So there was this huge have nots moment. Our tech companies were doing great. Our retail companies were not, our businesses were not doing great. The one thing that Bellevue did preemptively that was just luck is we created online permitting right before COVID hit. So we did a ton of permitting during that time when everybody was working from home. So a lot of governments couldn't do anything. We could do that. So that was bringing in revenue.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Um, Not calling this plastic table that never happens again, but if it did, any lessons learned you can pass on?
Well, I think it took us way too long to recognize that it was an aerosol. We didn't know if it was a droplet, whether it was a gas. It was kind of evident to me that it was not a gas. Otherwise, everybody would have had it. And it was evident it wasn't just a droplet. Otherwise, people in the back of the room wouldn't have gotten it. So it seemed like a classic aerosol. And so that's how I treated it from the beginning. So the outdoor dining, encouraging that, making sure all the windows and doors were open, that there was fresh air circulation everywhere you went, and masking obviously, but the plastic shields, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Yeah.
Well, if it was a droplet, they would.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's something that since you've been mayor that you're proud that Bellevue has done? Like something Bellevue or yourself has accomplished since you've taken over as mayor?
Thank you. That's a nice question. Um, I think I'm really proud of our affordable housing program. We put that in 2017. I was not mayor until 2020, so we didn't start implementing anything until 2020. And then we just went crazy and we got as many of the recommendations from the plan in as possible. And we're still implementing them because it takes land use codes and everything. And this is the year of the comprehensive plan, so we're putting into all of that. But it really creates far more opportunity for developers to create affordable housing. And so you can redevelop a church property. We reduce parking limits. I don't know how deep you want me to get into this, probably not very.
As deep as you want to.
Well, so anyway, you can email me if you want more information, but I'm really proud of that because we've doubled the amount of affordable housing stock since we implemented that. So that's a good thing. I'm very proud of what we did during COVID with our human services. We put a ton of money into human services, and we have a $1 million council contingency that we all voted to dump into human services, and we've done a lot of rental assistance. So as our city has experienced tremendous growth over the last 10 years, we've also done a lot of work to try to retain our communities.
So what is affordable housing? That based on like a certain amount of income a person may might have, or economic status, or how is that determined?
Okay, so the average home price is 1.3 million in Bellevue, and the area median income, which is going to be different because Bellevue is more expensive than the other cities. But area median income is about oh gosh. It's a little I think it's a little over, oh shoot, I don't know. It's like between 88 and $100,000 a year for a family of four.
Okay.
And so 80% of that and below is called affordable.
Okay.
And if you're paying more than 30% of your income towards rent every month, that's considered being cost burdened.
Okay.
So people in that situation, and there's many wealthy people who pay more than they should for rent, but people who don't have that choice, it's hard for them to save. It's hard for them to, you know, tolerate any downturns in their lives.
Yeah.
They're on the edge.
Obviously, this isn't your lane, but always, it's like kind of me, like mind-boggling where let's suppose someone goes to a bank at a loan for a mortgage, right? And they'll say like, and the mortgage would be like, we'll say $2,000 a month. And the bank will say no for whatever reason. But then you got to go buy a place to rent for 3,000.